Now we go to NDP 4.
Thank you, Mr.
5
Chair.
minutes.
I won't take as much for this now. I think, and I appreciate you finding the silver lining in every cloud.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, this, in keeping with what I just said, so the second best amendment that I think we could make to this bill is if we're not going to take a regulatory approach with fines, then I think at the very least we should make the criminalized part of this, the jail sentences, at least reasonable. And what this amendment would do would be to remove the indictable offense for possession, and it would leave the summary conviction, which would mean that any offense of the possession provisions of this bill would leave a person subject only to summary conviction with a maximum $5,000 fine and a maximum of 6 months in prison, or to both. And again, I want to make clear that's not my first choice, but given that it's the will of the majority of this committee not to move to a regulatory penal system and to maintain a criminalized one, then I will at least suggest that we remove indictable offenses from simple acts of possession of cannabis in this country.
Okay, seeing, yes, Mr. Ayoub.
Dans le même sens, puis je comprends bien l'intention.
I understand my colleague's intent, and I have respect for it. We don't want to repeat what has been said on this same Section 8. We need to have the means to work when quantities are large. 30 grams might not be a large amount, according to Mr. Davies.
What we're recommending under the legislation is to give the court an opportunity to impose penalties. And this is part of the legislation as it currently stands. So for that reason, I oppose the amendment.
Ms. Gladue.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I want to say that we did hear a lot of testimony that said for younger people that cannabis harm education is a better thing than punitive things, and there was a lot of support for the ticketed offense type summary conviction approach. But certainly, in light of all of the things that we hear, I wanted to correct what the member has said about there not being any harm with cannabis. He keeps comparing it to alcohol and tobacco. Well, tobacco is a harmful substance, and alcohol is a harmful substance, and cannabis is a harmful substance.
Thank you. Seeing no further names on the list, I'm going to call for a vote on NDP 4. Mr. Davies. Recorded vote.
Monsieur Ayoub. Mr. Yolson.
No.
Mr. McKinnon.
No.
Mr. Oliver.
No.
Ms. Sidhu.
No.
Ms. Gladue.
No.
Mr. Van Kesteren. Mr. Weber. Mr. Davies.
Yes.
Yes pour 1, nays contre 8,